Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 266. Yes. My name is Laura, also known as Lala. Tried to trip myself up.
I was going to say there's a first time for everything.
I almost said also known as Miss Linneman, which would be very inconvenient. But I also go by that 5 days a week, so whichever.
And I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Pretty much always go by Leslie. Um,
You don't get the Mrs. O'Neill a lot at work?
I do not, no. Most people sort of keep to themselves at work. It's like forced.
A little hermit crab village.
Yeah, it's like we're forced to be in the same building, but aside from walking to and from the bathroom, we never talk to each other. So anyway, it is September the 7th, 2015. It's Labor Day here in the States.
It is. Mama Linneman's birthday was yesterday.
It was, and they were hiking and
They went to high tea in Canada.
oh yeah, that's right. In Alberta, right?
Canada?
Canada's a big place, yo.
They were near Glacier and then they went to Canada. That's all I got.
No.
I don't know where in Canada. It is a big place though. I wonder what the size of Canada is compared to the United States. Like,
It's bigger.
It's bigger?
Yeah.
By how much, I wonder? I don't
Um,
know.
why don't you Google it?
I'm not going to right now because we're recording a podcast, but I will as soon as we get off.
So,
Someone somewhere is shouting the answer at the screen.
it could be
Like, I love
Sadie,
that. It could be.
or Tiffany. Um,
Or the other thousands of people who watch us from Canada.
this is true. So, it is a knitting podcast, so why don't we do knitting? Would you like to
Sure. Yes, maybe. Perhaps.
go? Are
In
you
a second.
very close to the end of your row?
Maybe. Perhaps. I am. Hold on. Oh, now I'm messing up because I'm trying so hard to go fast. 3 stitches. 3, 2, 1. There we go. I am knitting on the heel of. No, I was like, I probably should have started decreasing there, but whatever. I don't think so. I think I only did like 3. Yeah, I've only done like 2 rows. I am on the heel of the purple rain socks, which are for Amy of Ross Farms. This is the first sock, and that's the heel. It is an afterthought heel, just a plain afterthought heel. The yarn is by White Birch Fiber Arts. I'm using size zeros. And that's all I have really to say about this. It's nice yarn. I'm enjoying it so much that I haven't finished a pair one sock yet. But I use it as like my in between. So I keep score for volleyball, and so I use it as my like in between matches knitting.
You're not just a scorekeeper, though. You're like an assistant coach now, right?
That's basketball. I
Oh, okay.
coach for the girls basketball team. um, so which also is scorekeeper, but fancy titles. Uh, I won't even tell you how much I make for that job. It's like ridiculous. Like,
It's a little add-on to your normal salary, right?
yeah, it's like $28 a month is what an assistant girls basketball coach makes. Something like that. It might be 30. I don't know. I don't want to blow it all in one place. um, it actually pays for the Starbucks I buy on my way to the games usually. Oh, my life is so ridiculous. All right. So, socks. I've been knitting on it in the line at Starbucks, as you do, and also at volleyball games. I did not have a volleyball game today. And I think my next one's next Monday. I did go to uh 8th grade football game, but it was 90, actually it was 101 degrees that night, and I was not, like, I walked around. I could not sit in the medal stands. So I walked around and talked to folk, and got to see my friend adopted a new little boy, so I got to see him for the first time. So anyway, I walked around and was social and pretended to watch the key to middle school football games if you're a teacher, because there's in the South there's A team and B team, is to get there at like halftime of the B team, because then you get to see the cheerleaders and dance team perform, and they see you. The 8th grade A team sees you walking in, so they know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you leave by halftime of the A team game. That makes me a horrible human being, but there's only so much middle school.
I really doubt you're the only one that does this. I'm sure there are moms going, duh.
Well, if you've got a kid, like, you say the whole time because, that's what you do. But those of us who are child-free that are just going to support our students don't stay very long. I'm totally blathering. This is a sock, isn't it pretty? It gets worked on at school functions usually. The other thing that I knit.
A big old swatch.
Yeah. It's 8 by 7 because I got done at 7 inches long.
You were just
actually it's 8 by 8, but I got done at 7 inches of stockinette, and I was like, yep, we're just gonna do some garter at the top. It is knit on size 2.5 US, which is 3 millimeter. If you're a millimeter person,
like most of the world.
Yeah. Never mind. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, there's a guy running on like the political platform of changing the U.S. to metric, which I find really interesting.
Oh, like for president?
Yeah, like that's one of his platforms.
Well, I mean, I think that it should happen. I mean, I don't see why we can't all be on the same system, but I don't know that I would use that as a platform.
That's your jumping off point. So that's interesting, but it makes sense though when you talk about industry going overseas, but at the same time, if you don't want industry to go overseas, whatever. I'm totally overthinking this. Anyway, this is my swatch. It's 7 inches by 8 inches. I got the gauge that I'm supposed to get. So I swatched for Grace by Jane Richmond. This is the yarn that I swatched with. It is Plucky Feet in the Barn Door colorway. I actually have another sweater's worth of this to do not Multnomah.
That's a shawl.
Monomania.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't like that sweater.
I know you don't like it. I love it. So I might use this gauge swatch since it's the same yarn for both.
Oh, that'd be cool, yeah.
It's giant and huge. But it did grow a little bit after I washed it. It biased too. Do you see how it biased a little bit?
Yeah, I can see it going up into your right hand.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know if that's just how it dried, but I feel like the stitches biased a little bit too, which is really interesting. It's just fine because no, it's not fine because the cardigan is stockinette. But whatever. It'll be on my body, so my body kind of biases anyway. So it's Grace by Jane Richmond. It's a top-down sweater that you start with the collar, work your way down. It's got lace here and on the back, raglan sleeves. Then you work your way down. It uses something like 3 inches negative ease. So the 44 is really a 41, which, because it's top down, I can try on and I can be like, oh yeah, this works. Or, ooh, I need to add some bust darts in here.
Yeah.
So, and some, I'm going to have to add some butt darts in too, I think. But, I've got plenty of yarn because it calls for 4 skeins of 400 yards. I have 4 skeins of 420 yards. 420? 425. So I have an extra 100 yards. Plus, like, I'm not knitting the largest size, and it calls for the top, like, 4 sizes use 4 skeins.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think my size only uses, like, 1,300 yards. So I'm knitting this for my owl. It was approved. The only thing she said is if I finish it by October, I have to knit another project.
I don't know. You'll finish a fingering weight sweater
by the end of October.
Oh, like by the end. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. So owls are supposed to take like 3 months,
right.
But I got other things going on too. So we'll see. And it's on size 2.5 needles. It's
a
very
whole sweater.
But the swatch didn't take me more than a night. What night did I knit this? Friday night, I think. So, I mean, that's a big piece of knitting, too.
Now, Grace is a cardigan, right? So it's knit
flat. It is a cardigan. So it is knit flat. That's when my swatch is knit flat.
Mm-hmm.
Except the sleeves are knit in the round. If I see a huge difference between my in the round on the sleeves gauge and my flat gauge, I'll go down to a pure 2 just for the sleeves.
Or
and
you
I'll
could
knit those.
adjust the size of the sleeves. Like you're knitting it for the size 44. You could knit the sleeves for the size 36 or
But
whatever.
it's raglan, so I'll have a set number of stitches.
Oh, and it's gonna be from the here down.
Mhm. But also, like, I don't want it to be like, hey, as I hold my arm like
Oh,
this.
so it's
Look
not
at
a
this
pieced
scale.
sweater.
No, it's
Okay,
not. It's
that was
raglan.
my Okay, that was my
Yeah.
misconception.
And then the sleeves are knit in the round from the top down.
Right. Okay.
And I was just going to magic loop them because I might actually buy another 2.5 to magic loop on. Or, yeah, probably. And then I can do both sleeves at the same time. But I did order a million bazillion of those little clippy markers because I'm going to use Jasmine of the Knitmore's awesomeness and just like anytime I do a decrease, clip it
Mm-hmm.
so I can remember how many I've done because that's my real issue with sleeves is like the first one I'm like awesome, got it done, and then I'm like, oh yeah, what did I do? So
Or you
and
go
like
4 inches and you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to be doing decreases.
and inches are a little bit flexible for me. So they say they're a standard unit of measurement, but for me sometimes not so much. So anyway, those are the two things that I'm working on. That was a long bunch of nonsense. What are you working on?
I'm working on several things, and I will get the one that I'm not in love with out of the way first.
Okay, there you go.
So, for some reason, and I don't know if it's because I started it and then put it down, and I don't know. I'm no longer in love with.
See, I'm totally in love with it.
Well, then I'll send it to you and you can finish it. But
our gauge is so different. I'll have to go down like 3 needle sizes. I will. I'll finish it for you.
but I don't even want it. Like I don't even want it when it's done. I'm just done with it. I just don't want it anymore. So this is The Joker and the Thief, and it's by Melanie Berg, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. And there's nothing wrong
I'm
with
so
the
angry
pattern.
with this pattern. I don't even remember the person's name.
There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's not written badly. I mean, there's really nothing bad about it. I'm just done. I'm just done with it. I just don't want to even look at it anymore. So it's
See, and that for me, that means it just goes in the UFO bin. And for Stash Dash next year, I would just pick it up and finish it.
yeah, but then look at all these ends because you have to switch colors so
I would
often.
weave in the ends.
No.
And by me, I mean I get Mama Linneman to weave.
I don't mind weaving in ends generally, but I don't know, it just angers me. I just don't want it anymore. It just angers
So
me.
curious at this piece of knitting.
It makes no sense, but
It does make no sense, and I love it about it.
so it's orange is a dream and colored Jilly, and the grape pumpkin, and the blues are a neighborhood.
And you could have, if you'd cast it on in September, you could have used it for your Halloween cal thing too.
I could have. I can use anything for my Halloween cal though.
Yeah, because you don't count the prizes.
So I'm just
So pretty.
done with it. I just don't want to look at it anymore. I don't want to.
Funny to me.
I don't want it to live in my house anymore. I honestly thought about just taking it off the needles and throwing everything in the trash and just calling it done. But it's like,
But then your dogs would get into the trash and eat it, and then you'd be pulling yarn. There'd be like emergency vet visits
yeah,
going
because you
on.
can't pull yarn.
Nope.
But it's like, I don't know, $80 worth of yarn. I hate to just throw it
It was
away.
more than $80 because that Dream and Color Jilly was like over 20, and then you had the fiber.
This was 65, so
Yeah.
somewhere between like 80 and $90, and I just don't want it anymore. So, the first person that posts in the thread for this episode that wants it,
Take it off the needles and put it
yeah,
on. Wait.
I'll take it off the needles and put it on waste yarn and send it to you. And I don't even care what you do with it. I don't care if you rip it out and make something totally different. I don't care if you light it on fire. Like, that's your decision. I would
Push
just
this out of your hands. You're done with
I'm
it.
just done with it. I even tried to put it in an Amy Beth bag so I could get some good juju on it, and it just didn't. Nothing worked. So
Send it to Amy Beth.
I'm just done. The other thing I swatched this week also.
You're so ranty this week.
I am ranty.
Like, we're both ranty. It's not just you.
I want to knit the Lifesavers cardigan. Jeanette from Sun Valley brought hers. to SSK, so I was able to try it on and I liked it. So I ordered all the stuff from her to make it. And I do not want to knit a fingering weight cardigan that is not like a cardigan that's knit flat. I don't want to knit that in fingering weight. So I'm going to make it in the round and steek it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, so you don't want to knit it flat. You want to knit it.
Because I don't want to have to go back and forth and back and forth. I can go so much faster in the round, and that's what I want.
So you're going to knit in the round and steek it like a boss.
Yes. So but I was worried because the kit that I got from Sun Valley, the yarn is a merino cashmere silk.
Slippy.
Right. So it's really slippy. The cashmere is a short staple. Silk I wasn't so worried about, but unless it's a pure wool blend that's not a superwash treated blend, then you have to be careful. So I was looking in reference books and online to try to figure out, like, could I do it? What would I need to do? And then I decided I had to swatch anyway, so I was just swatching that and then steek the swatch.
Yeah, that's smart.
So that's what I did. So,
did you make a coffee cozy? Because that would be awesome.
No.
Oh.
So this is my swatch, and I did not get perfect gauge, so I'm trying to decide if I want to knit another swatch and go down a needle size or just do math. And I think I'm probably just going to do math. But
do you like the feel of the swatch that you have? I do.
It's nice and drapey. It's not open, but it's not. I don't want, with the cashmere content, I don't want to knit it too densely for it to. I worry about it pilling more if I knit it too densely. You know what I'm saying?
No, it'll pill less if you knit it more densely. Because the way that pilling occurs, it's those fibers rubbing on each other, and when there's more air, they have more room to rub.
Well, but then you're going to make me knit another swatch, and that's a problem.
It's a problem for you because you already cut that one, and you can't unravel it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you already cut it.
I did. So I just run it through. I did 7 stitches that I had marked off, and
So if you run out of yarn and you need that extra yarn, you're screwed.
Yeah,
now.
I can't use that. But I'm not going to run out of yarn. I have plenty. I've already done that. I've already checked that. But so basically, I just ran it through my sewing machine.
That just scared the bejesus out of me. All those little ends, that creeps me out. I need to get better about steeking.
I put my sewing machine on a super short stitch, like a 1.5 millimeter stitch, and I ran it through. And then I did the same. I did it twice, and then I cut in between. When I cut it, I did have a couple of.
You did it twice on one side, or you did it
just once
on
once on either side.
But doing it twice?
When I go to do the cardigan, I will. I'll do 2 rows on each side. But this...
Or 8, because I would be that person that would do like 8 repeatedly.
No.
And maybe crochet some too, just in case.
No, I'm not. I'm glad I did the swatch because it gives me confidence, because I've taken it and I've rubbed it, and I've done all these different things to try to see if I could get anything to come out, but it's not going anywhere.
Did you bundle it in your pocket?
I did not. But I did, I blocked it, and once it was dried, I was watching TV, and I just sat and messed with it to see if I could get any of the ends to come out.
You should give it to Kobe for like an hour.
And see what he could do? No, because I wouldn't want it after he had it for an hour.
Kobe's Leslie's son.
He's 12? And now wears the same size shoe as me. So, and that's a men's 9, by the way. Yeah, so I made
a larger size shoe than you, unless you were an 11.
No, a men's 9 is a woman's 10.
A woman's, no, an 8.5 is. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not.
I'm pretty sure that a woman's 9, a 10 is a man's 9.
Okay.
Now I gotta Google it.
So you were talking about stuff before I interrupted you with Kobe and swatching and talking. If I'm right, I'm gonna do a dance.
What size man's shoe is a woman's 10? Sorry, you guys have to sit through this.
Not at all.
A women's 10 is a man's 8.5. So it's a size and a half different. Okay. I thought it was 1 size down.
I only know that from buying Converse.
Oh, Laura's right. She has to do her little dance. So,
It's awesome in a rolly chair. Like that's the perfect dance for a rolly chair when you're like,
all right. So I learned something today. Um,
it's something every day.
the last thing that I'm looking for it, and it's right here. I just put it down. But I need the pattern, which is in the bag. Oh, here it is. In my Knit Spin Farm.
All chickens.
It's actually roosters, so it's a
Yeah.
bag. So I'm knitting Rolling Rock, which is a pattern by Thea Coleman, also known as Baby Cocktails,
Yeah.
one of our wonderful SSK teachers.
I like
So
that
it's a very simple pullover with a lace back. It calls for a sport weight yarn, but due to the tension and how I knit, I'm actually using a DK. I swatched twice for this, so I know I have the right size. Using Hazelnut's DK, Lively DK in Alexandrite, which was the SSK color of this year.
Cool.
And I'm sort of in the middle of a row, so it's awkward looking. This is knit, it's sort of raglan shaped, it's knit top down with the sleeves inset, which I love the way those look. I hate knitting them because you end up with so many stitches around that curved bit of sleeve, which just makes it awkward handling it.
So wait, you're knitting it top down with the sleeves.
The sleeves are, the contiguous,
Oh.
Susie's contiguous, whatever
Yeah.
that thing is.
Now I have to knit that. Well, I like that pattern. I'm not certain how the neckline would work for me. Are you changing the neckline at all, or are you using the open neckline?
Yeah, it's a Henley neckline.
Okay.
So, and I cast this on last night or the day before. It's primarily knit in the round after the sleeves, but I haven't gotten there yet. I was trying to get there before we recorded. It just didn't happen.
I was wondering why you wanted to record later than usual.
I just started the lace on the back. It's really hard to see this, but I just started the lace on the back. I have another 40 something rows before I join under the arms, so I've still got quite a ways to go. I'm knitting it on US 5s, which is 3.75 millimeters. I am knitting, so the sizing on this sort of had me hemming and hawing because I have a 50-inch bust. At the fullest part of my bust is 50 inches.
But you want to fit the shoulders.
Well, this is knit so that it's to be worn with 2.5 inches of positive ease.
Okay.
I don't mind a little bit less positive ease because in comparison to the rest of my torso, my bust is significantly larger. So I don't mind it if it's a little bit snug in the bust and then loose everywhere else.
And it's got lace details. Does it have lace details on the bust?
No, it's only on the back. So the sizing that I'm using gives you the actual measurement of the finished garment. So you have to count in your positive, you have to add your positive ease to your bust size and then choose that size.
Yeah.
So I'm knitting the 52-inch size. I could have knit the 48-inch or the 52-inch. Those are the two I had to pick from. And I decided I'd rather have it a little looser than a little too tight. So I'm knitting the 52-inch size. The only thing is this doesn't actually have a schematic on it, which I found odd. Because usually...
Her stuff usually always does.
Yeah. So unless I just didn't print that page, which is entirely possible.
Might not have printed that page.
Because she does have page numbers, but she doesn't have like page 1 of 5. She only has page 1 or whatever. So I checked online. I looked on all the Ravelry versions of this pattern, and I like it. I like the way that it looks. So I'm just going to keep on knitting. Hopefully I can get it. I'm trying to get a couple of different sweaters on the needles because I have to go to Murphy, North Carolina later this month for 10 days where I'm going to be mostly bored. So I want stuff to knit to keep me busy. But I don't want to have to start it there. I want to not have to think about it too much while I'm there. That's it. That's all that I've been knitting.
Okay.
Do you have an FO that you want to talk about?
Two FOs. Because,
You're so fancy.
well, I have an inability to get gauge. So I started knitting a toddler hat, and it is the annular. And I was like, oh, it's a great pattern by Woolly Wormhead. It's part of a book. And, excuse me, it's knit on size 4 and size 6s. So I cast on the size 4s for the 18-inch size. And I was using Sincere Sheep.
18-inch for a kid size?
Yeah. Do you not think? Toddlers?
Because, like, usually women's patterns start at like 20 inches.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 inches difference in the head size from a toddler to a grown woman?
Well, it's to fit 18 inches, but the actual measurements, because she does actual measurements and to fit, the actual measurements were like 16.
Sorry, I just dropped my hair tie, and that is a bad thing.
Oh, you're fine. So I'm using Sincere Sheep, and I have a sweater's worth of this in a different color, so I wanted to kind of get a feel for it. And it is the Equity Sport. It is made in Wyoming. It's 100% Rambly wool, so it is a very breed-specific wool. This is the St. Bart's colorway, and it's 200 yards. So I got it started, and then if you look at the pattern length, it flares out like a beret, and I didn't want it to be beret-like. So instead of doing an increase every 2 stitches, I did an increase every 4 stitches to kind of like bring it in a little bit, and that actually took it to the smallest size, which is a 14-inch size.
Is that the right side of it?
Yeah.
It looks mostly like pearls.
It is.
Oh.
It's all pearls, except for these little twisted stitches of
Oh, okay, I see it now.
rows of knit. Okay. So I knit it and I took it off the needles and I was like, that looks awfully big. So I tried it on, and this is after blocking. Totally not an 18-inch size. Like, so this is my new hat for this winter.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. It shows off my one eye. So that's the first thing that I finished, and I actually really liked it, and it counts for Quidditch for House Cut because Quidditch this term is riddles. Well, the first one's a riddle, and it's like the first path is if you feed me, I live, but if you give me water, something to drink, I die, and it's fire. And then the second one is river. So that counts for the river path, and then from that path you can go off and it's like a labyrinth type thing. It's Quidditch. And so I was like, well, that's not gonna fit her because it fits my big old head. And so then I knit another woolly worm head. Plus this isn't very like, I was going for like Frozen, but it's not super kid. So I opted to do another woolly worm head pattern. And this is, let me look and see, Quinn. And this is the 18-inch size of Quinn. But this should fit because when you look at the toddler size, so this is supposed to be a toddler size, and this is the toddler size of another hat pattern that's very similar. So just a difference in hat patterns. This is Quinn by Woolly Wormhead, and this is by Pearl Soho. It is, the hat with the garter ear flap hat. So this one's all garter. This one's got some stockinette. This one uses short rows to create the ear flaps. This one uses increases and decreases, which worked out really well and fast for me if I could read. So I had to rip back a couple times and because I have an inability to read. But I really like the pattern. It went fast overall. It was knit on size 6 needles. The pattern calls for 7, but after this, I was like, oh no, I'm going down to 6. Although the other one called for size 6 and I went down to 5, so I don't know. I have weirdness. So this is an ancient stash, but I really like it. I think it came out well. This is the yarn. This is probably some of the first yarn I bought in Memphis. So maybe circa 2008. It's 100% wool, 109 yards, and it worked out really well. So those are my 2 FOs of craziness. Now you have FOs to show off as well.
I do. I have two as well. One was mostly finished last week. I just needed to block it.
Block it. Yeah, I cannot wait to see this.
So I knit the Sugar Maple, which is a Karina Spencer pattern out of...
You don't seem as excited about this as I am.
Oh no, I'm excited. I'm just also hot because it's wool.
Okay.
It's knit out of Leading Men Fiber Arts.
Oh, are you wearing it right
yeah.
now? Oh, cool.
In the blue steel gradient. I'm going to stand up, which means I have to unplug, so if you hear background noise, it'll only last until I sit back down. So just hang on. Okay. Ooh, that's tangled. So this was well, I used the 46-inch size as a base, and I did a couple extra increases and a couple more decreases for the bust and side shaping, so I think it came out nicely. I'm happy with it. I will probably wear it at least one day to Rhinebeck. Whichever day is warmer probably is the day that I'll wear it. Let me plug back in here.
I think it came out amazing.
I'm really happy with it. That's why I really want to cast on another fingering weight garment, because I do like the way that it feels. It is much easier to wear than a heavier weight. I just run hot because I'm a big lady. So,
I think it came out really, really nice.
yeah, I like it. I wish I'd had a little more of a bottom hem, but it does lay perfectly flat. I'm not worried about that.
Perfect.
It is a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but...
Looks good, though. The length looks good on you.
Yeah, I like it that length. I probably would wear it with jeans versus these black pants, but this is what was clean, so...
There you go.
I used 2 of the gradient packs, so it was like 1,300 yards, 1,340 yards, I think, because each one is like 630.
Okay.
And I recommend it. The soliloquy base is great.
It's funny because when I tried that on at SSK, it looked terrible on me.
This is one I expected to look terrible on me.
It looked really good on Leslie. So that and what was it? The Beekeeper's tank looked really good on you.
Did it?
Yeah, I only know that because I was going through pictures on my phone. Deleting.
Oh.
And I was going through, I was like, man, that looked really good on Leslie. And I really liked a couple sweaters, so I'd taken pictures of those. And then I saved every single picture of the cat sweater.
Well, yeah.
Like, I did not delete any.
That's an epic.
Picture. Yeah.
You need to put them all together at some point.
I'm trying to clear off my phone a little bit because I might be upgrading, so.
You just put everything on the cloud. You get like a certain amount free on the cloud, I think.
Yeah.
It backs up for free.
Cool.
I finished one more thing, and it is the Susan B. Anderson Yowza Wayett Shawlette number 4.
So Mom's knitting that right now.
Is she?
She is. So she's knitting a Yowza Wayett shawl, and it's hilarious because she is in the middle of nowhere, Glacier National Park. And she's like, I need to weigh it, but I don't have a kitchen scale. And so I told her to go to the post office.
Yeah.
And so she did that one time, and she's like, I got some kind of weird looks, so I might not do, because their scales were all in the back. They didn't have any scales because something had happened. So she's like, I got some weird looks when I asked the guy to weigh it for me. So I need to find a place that'll sell a scale, but there's no place around here. I was like, look for a head shop. You could totally find a scale at a head shop.
You could probably go to the grocery store and like in the produce section.
Yeah, it's all like little small mom and pop. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like groceries. Yeah, okay.
Although they may not go down, like they may only do larger increments of measurement versus grams.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. The idea of the shawlettes, the Yowza shawlettes, are to use all of the yarn. Clearly, I am terrible at following directions because I still have like a little over an ounce. And it's 8 ounces to start with. I want to say it's like 1.5 ounces. I did follow, I think I followed the directions, but I started with 9 ounces instead of 8, so maybe it was a percentage base, and I just didn't take that in. I didn't really read the whole pattern. I just sort of, I'm just going to put that out there.
I just kind of skimmed it.
It's a 4-page, it's 4 pages of information, a couple of beauty shots, and Susan's patterns are never like overly complicated. She doesn't do that. So I was like, I read like the bottom of page 2 and part of page 3, and I'm like, okay, I got this. And then I never looked at it again. So it's very likely my fault. but I am
I don't
happy
know
with
how it could be your fault with that logic.
Clearly. I did finish it, and I do like it. It needs to be blocked. I haven't even woven in ends yet, but I only have 2 ends to weave in. This is Yowza and that's a Miss Babs yarn in the Funny
Yeah.
Papers colorway. Oof, it's sliding off. So it does look like the comics. I do like that, with the gray of the background a lot. The edging was very easy to do. Very simple garter with an attached edging. I can see myself doing another one of these out of hand spun.
Oh yeah.
Very easy to do, super easy to do, and it is long enough, very much so, to wrap around.
Have you blocked it yet?
No.
Are you gonna block it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it'll grow more when I do that too. So.
Yeah.
So I like it. I will definitely knit more of Susan's shawlettes. This was just the one that called to me the most. I might have to get another skein of Yowza at some point, because this was my one and only skein of Yowza.
Wow.
So I do have more Miss Babs, just not Yowza.
I have 3 skeins of Yowza.
So that's it. I feel like
that's a total lie, because I have a sweater's worth of Yowza.
yeah, you
I
have
have
that purple,
3 individual
right?
skeins. I have a pink, and then a pink sweater's worth of Yowza. So
I thought you had a purple sweater's worth for some reason.
I don't know how you could be mistaken on that. Maybe it's gray.
It could be.
It's not gray, it's pink.
I
It's
feel
like a fuchsia.
we've gotten a lot done though. Like, we have a lot to show this week,
Yeah.
the both of us. So that's
Yeah, I have
something.
some spinning to show too.
Oh, really? You didn't put it in the show
Oh,
notes?
crap. No, I didn't.
Not allowed.
I totally have some spinning to show. So one of the things that I forgot to show that I got at SSK is this fluff bucket from Tangerine Designs.
Mm-hmm.
And the outside is quilted, and it's got a pocket to keep tools in, and then the inside's satin. And so I've been using it a lot. One of them, I actually have 2. One of them is where I throw my needles when I'm... So it's like a needle wrangling facility until I'm done. But I had... This has a funny story. So my last owl, I was spinning some Hello yarn in the... not Headbanger. In one of the Terry Pratchett colorways. And so I was like going gung-ho, and I was almost, so I finished the first skein and put it all in one bobbin because I was doing a 2-ply. And then I went to go grab the second skein, and I started spinning, and I was like, man, this one's got pink in it. I don't know if, like, I don't know what's going on. So I got like halfway through the first, like, I got an ounce in, and then I'm like, this is really weird. I better look at the bag. And it's totally not the same pattern. And it's not like the other one was like a Polworth, and this is like, I think it was Polworth. This one's a Cordell. So like not even...
Different ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah. So this is Cordell. So I took that bobbin off, and I put it in the bag, and I had it facing a certain direction so I would know which way to put it back on, because the Hanson, thank you, bobbins don't have like a directionality like the shocks do. So now I'm trying to clear off my bobbins because we're coming up on Spinzilla in like a month, and I'd like to have clean bobbins for Spinzilla because I didn't do that last year and it kind of screwed me. So
really it's your fault we didn't win Spinzilla last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I finished the first bobbin of this, and right before I got to the end of the first bobbin, I heard a thunk, and my spring had popped and gotten like wrapped all the way around the inside of it.
Tragedy.
Yeah. So luckily I had their repair kit, which had an extra spring in it. So I fixed that, but this is So Sick of Musts, like MUSTS. It's Hello Yarn. And so this is the first, and this is the
I would like to hear the story behind that colorway.
Yeah, I don't know. I got it from an update, so it wasn't like a club colorway. So I have 1 ounce on the bobbin. This is the last ounce that'll be spun, and then I'll apply those 2 together, and then I'll have an empty bobbin. And I can start a spinning project for someone that I owe them from SSK. So that's exciting. But here's my Spinzilla PSA. So then I spent $30 on Hanson's website, and I got every single replacement part that you could possibly get for the Hanson mini spinner.
Why wouldn't you just get another repair kit? Does it not have all the replacement
The
parts?
repair kit has two. Okay, so the repair kit comes with a dental tool, which is super awesome. And if you don't have one in your spinner, you can pick out fluff with it or things that get caught in different, places. So that's super awesome. It comes with super lube, which is the
Everybody needs super lube.
synthetic oil
Yeah.
that Hanson
It's
uses.
a lubricant for the motor, all the moving parts.
Yeah. And it comes with an extra spring and an extra drive band for the regular bobbins. If you want the spring, so what I purchased was an extra spring, which was like $7, an extra spring for the lace flyer, that uses a different spring, and just in case that one goes, and because I have an extra drive band for there in the replacement kit still, I got an extra drive band for the lace one because it uses a different drive band. And I also there's an interior spring. And let's be honest, if that blows out during Spinzilla, I'm not spending all the time to fix that. But there's an interior spring inside the Hanson where that can go. And there's directions on how to fix that with the interior spring. So I got 3 springs basically and a drive band for $30 with shipping. $32 with shipping. But now I have all those pieces.
Yeah.
And I have the same anytime I place like an order with the Woolery for a bobbin or whatever, and I'm close to that. I think they do free shipping over $100, and I'm like at $90. I throw in a couple drive bands,
Right.
for my Ladybug and my Sidekick, just so I have, or a Lendrum, or the extra footman for the Lendrum, just so I have that stuff. So if anything happens, I have it with me. No, lots of stuff. Like my Lendrum broke the tensioner in the back broke at SSK, but theirs you replace with a rubber band. So I just went downstairs and got a rubber band. But I was just thinking I should bring some of that stuff with me to SSK in case something goes at SSK. But which I didn't do this year, but luckily we didn't have a problem with any of our wheels. We had someone else who had a problem with one of their wheels. But we had an extra one. So it all worked out. So anyway, that is my spinning. I'm hoping to get a couple minutes in every day so I can start clearing off some bobbins, because I have around 7 bobbins with stuff on them. So I like to start clearing some stuff up. And when I switched the spring out, it was doing some crazy thing where like it was pulling, even though like it basically wasn't on, I had it loosened all the way. It was pulling in really hard, and it wouldn't, like even with it off, it wouldn't stop pulling. So I took graphite, which is something they recommend. So I took a pencil and traced the side of my that groove in the Acreworks bobbin the band goes in. It started working fine. So that's my PSA about get all the extra stuff you need before Spinzilla starts. So especially if you only have one wheel, if something breaks, you've got replacement parts. So you're not limited or done at that point. So we have a book review.
We do. This was sent to us by the lovely folks over at
Interweave.
F&W Media.
It is Custom Socks Knit to Fit Your Feet by Kate Atherley. It retails for $27.99 in the U.S. She's done a ton of stuff. She's Cooperative Press. She does a lot of their tech editing, but she also wrote books that we've reviewed before, the Knit Accessories, Essentials, and Variations. She's also Knitty's lead technical editor, and she's got a book that she published, self-published, about tech editing. So Kate's very, very knowledgeable. She knows a bunch of stuff.
And she's a mathematician, and let me tell you, you can tell.
Oh, yes. So this book is one that if you are looking to customize socks to fit your feet, this one's a good one.
I also would say if you are looking to learn how to design socks, this would be a great book for that, because there is no question about socks that is not answered in this book.
Yep. So the first, let's see. Well, it's like the whole book. Like there's patterns interspersed throughout here. I think there's something like 15 patterns, if you count all the different like gauges and stuff.
Right.
But it's really about math.
Right.
And she did like a survey. So at the very beginning, she talks about sock sizing and the
Mm-hmm.
importance of negative ease and how wool stretches. So if you don't have negative ease, by the end of the day, your socks will be around your
Right.
ankles. She did this survey, which I find fascinating, and then put all the results into a chart. I love mathematician people who do all the work for me.
Yeah, there's that.
So it's really interesting. The thing that I found most fascinating about it is she measured like the heel diagonal and gusset circumference, and the gusset circumference on a foot is an average of 10 to 15% larger than your foot circumference.
Yeah.
So if you're not, if you're doing something like a short row heel or an afterthought heel that doesn't have a gusset, you need to be accounting for that extra 10 to 15% somehow. Whether it's just in the stretchability of the fabric or,
Adding or removing stitches.
yeah, somehow that has to be accounted for. She also does a heel diagonal measurement, which is really, really interesting, especially for those of us who knit afterthought heels.
Yeah. She
Um,
has sock sizing tables to tell you if it's a child size 10 sock, then the estimated circumference is this, the length is this.
It's really
Um,
great if you're knitting for other people,
right.
especially. One of my favorite parts is she goes into
Yeah.
good ply and structure for sock yarns. So she actually has visuals of this is a looser twist, this is a tighter twist, this
Hmm.
is a 2 ply, this is a 3 ply, this is a 4 ply. So all those things, and she doesn't even have 1 ply there.
Yeah. You should never use one ply for your socks.
um,
She also talks about the content, not just the
yeah,
ply, and how um, wool is really a great option for socks because even though you think wool, you think warm, it also is a good regulator, temperature regulator, and it wicks the moisture away from your feet. So it actually keeps your feet from stinking because it wicks away the moisture and the sweat. She does recommend a yarn with a nylon content.
yep.
And she says to beware of the very soft yarns. She says if it's wonderful and soft and luscious on your face and neck, it's probably not great for your feet, just as far as hard wearing goes.
Yep. She goes through all the different needles and how to knit on double points, two circulars, magic loop, and a short circular. And I think
Hmm.
she's the first person I've ever seen that's done socks diagrams on a short circular
Yeah, I
needle.
agree. If you have never seen them, it's usually a 9-inch circular needle.
Yeah.
The needle tip itself is like 2 inches, usually 2 and a quarter inch.
It's very
Yeah,
small.
it is very small. It's too small for me. I don't like them, but some people really love them. So,
She talks about minimizing ladders of loose stitches,
hmm,
managing stitch repeats, density, swatching in the round, basically anything that you need to know about socks. It's covered in this book. Heel stitch patterns. Her toe philosophy is really
I
interesting to
thought so
me.
too. I wondered if you caught that, but I agree. I'm not so sure. The way that she does top down toes, the most standard that most people are familiar with is you decrease to a certain number, whether that be 8 on each needle, 10 on each needle, 15, 16, whatever, and then you graft it or Kitchener it
Yep.
together. She does not do that. She prefers to get it down to 8 stitches, and then, like you would at the crown of a hat, just snip the yarn and pull it through all the stitches and cinch it tied.
Yep.
Um,
She also goes through toe up socks
hmm.
and she prefers a heel flap. It seems like she prefers heel flaps on both toe up and top down.
Hmm.
So she's got different bind offs, basic patterns for both toe up and top down, but look at all these numbers. So just chart after chart
Hmm.
after chart of useful information.
She's also got some really great tips on if you're doing a top down sock and you do a heel flap. A lot of the times you get little gaps from where
Yeah.
you've turned the flap and you're picking up for your gusset stitches. And she's got lots of great illustrations and information on how to avoid it and if you end up getting them, how to fix it. She's got some great tricks and that she learned from Kat Bordy, she says. So really good information and clear illustrations.
There's all these sidebars of really, really interesting
Hmm.
information. So, like on this, it says in terms of terms. Feral is to color work as Kleenex is to facial tissue. Although we use the terms interchangeably, they often have slightly different meanings. And then she goes on to explain. So it's really a lot of, like, I could spend days reading every bit of this book. Lots and lots of interesting information. And then she goes into designing and what happens when you add lace patterns and add cable patterns and how that changes your fabric and how you need to come up with recipes for pattern socks and stuff like she has a recipe for a pattern sock that you can plug in numbers to and all sorts of stuff. And then the first sock pattern is just a basic, besides the basic top down and toe up like vanilla sock patterns, is a basic rib sock.
Yep.
Which gets you, if this is your first time knitting socks, perfect. But for every sock pattern that's in here, she does a design case study.
Yes.
So she goes through why it works and how she came up with that design.
She also, for most of them at least, she has one that's knit top down and one that's knit toe up. So you can see the difference in what it looks like if you knit it top down and versus toe up, assuming that you use her method for the toe closure instead of grafting, which I thought was really, really interesting that she did each pattern that way.
Every pattern has pictures of the heels and toes, so it's very clear what's going on.
And I really think the vast majority of these are very unisex.
Oh, yeah.
And there are different heels in here. There's some lace socks, there's cabled socks. Also like that for each pattern she has a little notes section at the beginning of the pattern, this little blue section that tells you anything unique about this pattern that you need to keep in mind. For the color work ones, she mentions that you might have to adjust your needle size up or down. She tells you about how much ease you need to work in for this particular pattern versus others, whereas like a cabled sock you really don't want a lot of ease, where a lace sock you do. So she talks about those things in each one of these patterns at the beginning of...
I think you got those flipped. So cabled, you do want ease because it won't stretch as much, whereas lace, it'll stretch. So you
I meant you don't want negative ease in
okay.
cabled. Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
My brain only works at a certain speed, and Kate Atherley's is like Indy 500 to my driving Miss Daisy. So
she also has in the very back, so there's lots of great patterns. I feel like if you worked through this book, you could easily get all that you need to know for basic socks down.
And not even basic. I mean, there are some beautiful and complex color work and lace and cables in here. So
I guess I'm going with basic because it's not like what's the cooperative press book that we reviewed that has all the different heels and toes and
Laura Neal's?
Yes,
Sock
Laura
Architecture.
Neal's. So these two books would go hand in hand very well because once you get this stuff done, then you can start changing out heels and
plugging
toes
in different pieces. I agree. I see what you're saying.
One of my favorite parts is chapter 5 on adjustments for non-average feet. And one of the very cool things about that is she does go into knitting socks for people who have diabetes, which is wonderful and a need and something that I've not really seen before. So
one of the things I hadn't seen before was she talks about so she had chapter 5, like Laura mentioned, it also has sort of a problem solution structure. One of the things that she talks about are skinny legs versus shapely legs and how you have to accommodate the different ones. A shapely leg is going to require sort of a wider stitch base than a skinny leg, and you may not really think about that as you're knitting the pattern, but you need 1.3% more or something. I'm not a math girl, but she talks you through how to adjust for someone with more shapely legs versus a thinner leg. And then she has pages and pages of situation and solution. So the situation, ankle is larger than the heel is larger than the foot, and she takes you through several if this then this
Yeah.
how to solve that problem, which I think is a fantastic reason enough to buy this book.
Oh yeah. Because
Um,
it really is customizing your socks. And the very last thing that she goes through is knee socks,
hmm
which are these knee socks right there, and how to customize those as well. So it's not just ankle, calf length socks.
right. And I would say keep in mind that Laura and I have talked about 5% of what's in this book.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
There's a lot of
we
stuff.
could talk for 2 hours about it and still only skim the surface. If you are at all interested in customizing for yourself or others, this is a fantastic book. Again, it is custom socks knit to fit your feet. It is by Interweave and it's $27.99 in the U.S.
Also, if you have the Amazon, not Prime, but what's the other
Kindle
Amazon?
Unlimited?
Yes, it's there for free.
Oh, cool.
When I checked earlier, the link in the show notes, it was on there for free at this point in time. A lot of Interweave stuff is.
I have Kindle Unlimited. It's like $10 a month. The main reason I do it because they don't have a ton of books that I like to read, but they do have a bunch where the Audible version is free, like so you can listen for free. So you have to sort for it, and you're not going to get all the greatest newest stuff, but still it's free listening. So
Yeah, there you go.
anyway, we have a question.
We do. So Jen now and then asks, how has the process of organizing SSK evolved over the years? Have some aspects gotten easier while others have gotten harder? So the process for SSK has evolved. We're in that, like, Leslie and I now have our really specific jobs that we do for the most part, and then jobs that we do together.
Yeah.
But the part about SSK that sucks never changes, and that's telling people, I'm sorry, you're on the wait list,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, we don't have room for you to vend right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that part will always suck.
Telling people no is
yeah.
a not fun part of it.
Like, that part's always gonna suck, and because we want everyone to be happy, but that's just...
I will say it is easier to cushion the blow for people on the wait list when you get lots of opportunities to come off the wait list. Like, people have to drop. It happens. Like, I would say somewhere
We have the
between
data to back that up.
35 to 45% of people have to drop, like, from the initial sign-ups. It happens. Somebody plans a wedding at that time. Somebody loses a job and they can't afford it, or somebody plans an international trip, or somebody's daughter's going to college, or like things happen that are outside of people's control, and we do not presume to be the most important thing in people's lives. So it is a little bit easier to tell people no when there's still a really good chance of people coming in off the wait list. But that being said, we do have sort of an outline of how we do things, when we do things. And like Laura mentioned, we do have our little silos where Laura does certain things, like running all the knit-alongs on the board. I have no hand whatsoever in that. That is all Laura.
I do the classes. Leslie does all the money.
I usually do roommates if I can.
Yeah.
I don't mind that so much. I usually do all the special dietary stuff for people. We both together work to get teachers and vendors. Yeah. I would say the hardest thing nowadays, because we're going into our 5th year for the event, the hardest thing is picking stuff for the goodie bag for me.
It is.
Because we really want things to be useful and not just give you something with our logo on it just so that you'll have something. Like, we want it to be something that you'll use. And
we want the yarn and fiber to be fabulous,
right,
and the bag to be fabulous.
And I feel like we've had some great stuff over the years, but it's getting harder and harder to continue to come up with the great stuff. So.
I feel like that about some of the things that we've done, like the first year we did a movie. We did Labyrinth, an interactive movie. And so, like, we're like, oh, well, the second year we came up with the tasting room.
Mm-hmm.
And the third year was the try it on room. And we also did tutus that year.
Yeah.
So it's becoming harder and harder to not just, we're very competitive with ourselves,
mm-hmm,
too. We want, like, this coming SSK to be the best SSK ever. and that's every year. Like
we
the
want it to
sixth one,
be
we
a
want it to
different
be
event
better.
every
Yeah.
year. Like, we don't want it to get complacent and say every year we're always going to have the same things.
We want to constantly innovate. So innovation, but not innovating just for innovation's sake. Does that make sense?
Right. We don't want to just say, well, this year we're going to do rock climbing, because we haven't done that. Like, we want it to fit the audience. So we have a really good time, though. It's always great to be able to introduce one person to another and then get a note 6 months later that says, you know, we meet up every week now for coffee and knitting. Like, to make those connections, that's really the whole point. So
exactly. And it's lots of I have fun at SSK. It's kind of stressful when we're in SSK, but because there's so much going on. But it's lots and lots of fun. It's always a good time, and I enjoy spending time with different people that I've not gotten to spend time, like going to dinner with different people.
Yeah. And Laura and I usually, when we're there, we don't go to dinners together. We're usually, you know, going with different people so we can sort of maximize our
dinner
fun,
time,
I guess. Yeah, like being able to get a wider.
I know Leslie. I see her all the time.
So, anyhow, thank you for your question.
That's a good one. So what are you reading? Because I haven't really read a whole lot of anything.
Oh God, I've read so much crap. Pretty much everything I've read this week has been either paranormal, historical, or science fiction romance. So I've read the third and fourth of the Mercedes Thompson, Patricia Briggs series.
Yeah. Have you switched over to Alpha Omega yet?
No.
Okay.
I've read The School of Ants, which was the last. What's her name? Arlie Smith, I think. The one that she wrote Cottonwood, she wrote Heat, she wrote a bunch of science fiction-y stuff, and School of Ants is weird. Like, this chick follows her friend to a mountain in Transylvania where there's a school with demons, and all sorts of depraved stuff happens there, and she's a mind reader or a telepath or something. I don't, like, the whole time I was reading it, I'm like, still not totally sure what's happening and a little bit offended. So I've read a couple of those. I've read a couple of, like, Scottish, Highlandy romance.
Did you like Lord Ian?
I did. I did like Lord Ian. So my problem is, Laura's talking about Lord Ian Mackenzie, something Lord Ian Mackenzie. I can't remember the name of the book.
It's by Jennifer Ashley, but she uses a pseudonym. She does a lot of paranormal stuff as well.
And my problem with a lot of, like, series-driven books is that I get so involved with the first character. Like, I really like Ian.
Well, he comes back. Like, he's back in every single book.
Yeah, but you don't get a lot of him. I've only
there's
read the
one,
second.
like a Christmas one that's really, really good. After Daniel, I kind of cut it off.
Oh, see, I didn't even get I only got to the second one, I think. Cam, yeah. But I get to that problem where I'm really like or identify with or whatever that first character, and so I don't care about any of the rest of them. I don't want to read about their lives. Like, I just want to read more about this person. So, anyway. So I've read a bunch of tripe, a bunch of romancy crap, nothing that I can, like, wholeheartedly recommend. So
I finished the third book in the Wicked series by Jenna Ivanovich. I went to download, so I got an Audible credit yesterday, because I get one a month. And I went to download, they sent me a recommends, because immediately when the credit hits my box, like, they're like, hey, we noticed you've got a credit. We think you'd like this. And one of the things that they recommended is the last Terry Pratchett book. So I'm having a dilemma. It's the last Terry Pratchett book ever. It's Tiffany Aiken. So what I might do, I know.
Tiffany Aiken.
And it's the last one ever. And, like, even looking at the page made me really sad because it says, like, copyright the estate of Terry Pratchett.
Oh, that's so sad. I love Tiffany Aiken. If you have, especially the audiobook version of We Free Men.
Oh, and it's the same guy who did it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, it's so good. So I think I'm gonna go back and listen to all of the Tiffany
Yeah,
Aikens, and then that'll be the icing on the cake.
yeah.
Like
Terry
because I just
Pratchett is
love
always a good
Terry
time.
Pratchett stuff so
I think I
much.
made it to like the 11th or 12th Discworld book, and then I got on something different and never
This
came
is
back.
technically like Discworld 47.
Yeah. I love
Oh,
he's so witty, was so like witty and acerbic and sardonic, and I just loved the way he wrote.
and I love the Audible versions even better
Mm-hmm.
because I have issues, spatially, I have issues when I read his books because it's like the text is up here and then there's a little like asterisk and then there's this little witty thing at the
Oh
bottom
yeah,
and like the footnotes and
yeah.
I can't like that drives me crazy. So listening to them's the way to go for me.
Mm-hmm.
But his YA stuff, the Tiffany Aching series is fabulous. His other stuff, I loved the movies were on Netflix for a nanosecond because they made a couple of the movies.
Yeah. The
Postal
Color
and
of Magic,
yes, and the Hogfather.
The
And
Hogfather,
Hogfather is
which was
still my
weird.
favorite. So weird, but it's so awesome. So I think I'm gonna go back and listen to a bunch of Pratchett.
God, we've gotten so off on this
I
episode.
know
Like
we're so tangenty,
you've learned
but
so much about us that you don't care a word. Sorry.
anyway, so that's what's coming up for me. Favorite things: the Halloween craft all the things is going on. Just to summarize, basically, you craft something that is Halloweeny,
Or
and
Folly.
yeah, or folly, and you sell it to us as Halloween or fall in your post. It's one post per FO. If you have a group of stuff like I baked all these pumpkin seeds, that's one FO.
One
Um,
project per project.
yeah, one project. So, like, if you're, I don't even know what you would knit that would have multiple parts, but you know, one thing
Like
per
an
project.
Afghan with squares.
Yeah, sure. Um, so we have prizes. They just came.
Oh,
Are you
cool.
ready? So our first prize came from Nitty Kitty Bags, and that's Wendy.
Oh, I like the name.
Isn't that cute? And you can find her at Nitty Kitty Bags at Etsy.com. She sent a kitty bag.
Oh, I
Look at
like the
how
lime green zipper with it.
yes, and it's got a lime green zipper, black interior, and then it's got a little kitten.
Over
You
the
see
zipper
him?
pull. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so he's super cute. Great. This would be a great size for a pair of socks, and it's Nitty Kitty Bags. There's her little tag as well.
Oh, cool.
So very, very cute. So that's the first prize. The second prize, and I have something here for you too.
Ooh.
The second prize is Pakora. I think
Oh
that's
yes, that's we met her at SSK. She
we
came for
did.
Market Day, yeah.
She had some gorgeous spinning. She also does yarn. And it's Christy Kennedy, PecoraYarns at gmail.com. And it's Pecora, in case I'm saying it incorrectly. But there is her website. Everyone's like, man, you got way too close there. And she sent a skein
That is so pretty.
in the fall maple colorway. And so this is the giveaway. It's 400 yards of a 80/20 BFL nylon blend.
That's a really pretty color.
Really, really pretty, really gorgeous. Are you ready to see your gift?
Always. I like presents.
This one's yours. Yours is Under the Sea.
Ooh.
So I'll mail this out to you this week.
Cool. And that's from Pecora as well?
Yep.
Awesome.
So she sent a skein for you.
Let me
Can
see
you tell?
yours.
I'm assuming that this is how this works out because mine's called Lala. Purple loves Lala.
Oh,
It's purples and
it
gray.
is. That's perfect.
Yes, absolutely perfect. So that's Pecora. And this is her Tuscany base. I love BFL bases, so I'm super excited to squish this and knit it. And that's perfect Halloween colors, too.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work to sell yours. So that is the first two prizes are here. If you follow Jelby on Instagram, Carrie, she has been showing, she's sending us some of her stitch stoppers, and she did a Jack the Pumpkin King one. Like,
What's
so
this?
much. Yes, and she did a pumpkin one. And then she's sending a tin, too.
Oh, cool.
So we'll have 3 little prizes. I actually have some stitch stoppers that I bought from her in the mail. Stitch stoppers are these things that go on the ends of your needles, and
Yeah.
they're just like these little things, and they hold your needles together. It's perfect.
I keep especially slippery yarn from
Yeah, and she
running
does
away from you.
all felt balls. I think all my felt. Oh, here's one of her tins, and she does cute tins. She made this one especially for me a couple of years ago.
I have a wine one that she made for me.
The tin that she's sending is an owl and a tree, and she got glow in the dark thread for its eyes.
She's so fancy.
So fancy. And she does cute little markers too. I have purple markers in there. And then she does these felt sheep balls that are amazing, and she does other sheep balls or other ball SAL markers. Anyway, she's an artist of felt. Like, she's amazing. So she's sending some stuff too. It's not too late if you want to send some prizes for the Halloween craft all the things. We are always taking them, and we'll be taking them until like the third week in October.
Mm-hmm.
So the fourth week we'll be drawing prizes.
Speaking of drawing prizes,
I am working my way through the Stash Dash thread to draw prizes, but we're not quite there yet because I'm a slacker, but also I'm enjoying looking at your guys' stuff so much that it makes it very hard for me to get through it.
it also it takes time. You know, you have to go through, look at each individual post, make sure that the person listed their yardage,
Yeah.
make sure that they. I mean, we're not gonna go through and add all the numbers up for you or question you, but just cursorily look through and say, oh yeah, that could be whatever.
Yeah. And so far we have, just from the 3K thread and the 100 that I did in the 5K thread, we have over almost 200 people who successfully completed Stash Dash, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I keep getting distracted because I'm super distracty, and I'll click on a project and then I go get lost into a rabbit hole of projects of awesomeness. So it's just taking a little bit of time.
It happened last year. You guys just be patient. We'll get it as soon as we can get it. We both have.
It got blocked at work too, so I can't even do it at work. Not that I would have time anyways. But anyway, what we are going to draw prizes for this week is the Three Waters Farm SAL. We have, let's see.
It's like 50 something.
We have 69.
Oh.
Minus my original post, so 68. Yep, with 61 voices. So we have 68 projects.
Okay, so
if it's a chatter thread, we'll draw again. But
I had a phone. Where did I put it? There it is. So I'll pull up the random number generator.
We have two big prizes, and Leslie went through and picked out some of her favorite stuff and gifted some patterns as well. But the two big prizes are a 3-month membership to the Top of the Month Club and a design your own colorway yarn or fiber.
Yep.
So let's do Top of the Month first. That way, if it's not a spinner, then we
can give them
the prize.
Right. Okay. So it's between, what is it, 2 and 69? I put 68. Let me fix that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's between 2 and 69. So which one are we doing first? Top of the month?
Yes.
Generate the number 20. So post number 20.
20 is good. A spinner. It's Pandurin. Oh, and it's her birthday today.
Oh, well, happy birthday. You get a free 3-month membership.
So that's Teresa from St. Louis, Missouri, Pandurin, who posts a lot in our group.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get you in contact with
Marianne.
Three Waters Farm, Marianne, and she will hook you up. And then the second is Design Your Own Colorway.
31. Post number 31.
Man, there's some pretty stuff in this thread. I've not hung out enough in this thread.
I think people did some fantastic. There were I want to say 4 or 5 people that just blew me away, and I individually gifted them patterns from the Knit Girls because they just blew me away.
It is a Wilda from Wellington, New Zealand.
Oh, cool.
She spun the most gorgeous yarn. So she did the sail part. So very, very cool.
So we'll get both of these ladies in touch with Marianne, and we just want to say thank you guys. We'll definitely do another spin along, probably not until next year, but we'll definitely do another spin along and knit along because it's a lot of fun to see all the different stuff. I would have never guessed we could have gotten such a wide variety of stuff
definitely
out of one colorway. So I'm impressed.
So for sure. Oh, and some people entered it in the fair and got places in the fair, like fair ribbons. That's so cool.
Laura's now
Very
distracted.
Yep, totally distracted. Upcoming events, I will be at SAF on Saturday,
Hmm.
and Leslie will be at Rhinebeck both days.
Both days.
Cool. Upcoming knitting events, Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade
Hmm.
is doing a mystery knit along, and she offered our viewers 25% off. So if you use the code KG25 up until like September 10th, which she's in Great Britain, so really to be sure, I would do September 9th. You can use that code and get 25% off. So you have a couple days to get that. Um, just a reminder, if you went to SSK this year, the coupon code ring, there were a bunch of tons of great coupons there. Some of those codes are expiring this month, so you want to make sure that you get those. If you are waiting to buy something, that you go ahead and use those coupons.
Yeah.
SSK news. So the rest of this is going to be SSK. We're going to announce our fourth teacher, who
Um,
is. Why are you typing?
no, I just wanted to double check something. So our fourth teacher is Mercedes Tarasovich Clark. Say that 3 times fast.
She's
Um,
known for amazing brioche stuff. She
yes.
published a book with Interweave on brioche last year.
Yep, Brioche
Uh,
Chic. She's been in a dozen publications or more. She does everything from garments to accessories.
and she used to be kitchen sink dye work, so
Hmm.
she even knows how to dye her own yarn. And I was in her yarn club for a long time. We got to meet her at Stitches South a
Hmm.
couple of years ago when it
Yeah.
was in Atlanta. So she's lots of fun. So she will be joining Rami Hill, Maggie Casey, and Thea Coleman. So
Yep.
those are our 4 teachers. SSK signups are still going on until the 11th, so you have a couple more days.
Yep.
And that's about it. Is there anything else that you want to say about SSK or anything else?
Um, no, I would say if you're on the fence for signing up for the lottery for SSK, I would say just do it. Just put your name in the lottery because it's not
And you
going to
can always say
hurt.
no later.
Yeah, if we send you the you got in email and then you realize it just doesn't work for you, there's no harm done. We're not going to penalize you for that. Um, it really is a good time, especially if you've never been to a knitting retreat. It's really welcoming. The people are great. I feel like it's divided time wise well enough so that you get plenty of social time, but you also get plenty of me time.
Yeah,
For
it
those
depends on
people,
what you want to do
right?
too. There's some people who want to take all the
Mhm.
classes and fill their schedule, and there's that ability. And there's some people who want to chill more and just take one class. So
Yeah,
there's what you and explore Nashville. So it's definitely what you make of it.
yeah. I think that's it for me for this week. Do you have anything else?
I think that's all. We've been
Awesome.
so rambly. We're already at an hour and 18 minutes.
I
So I
know.
don't know if there's much more that we can talk about.
We've talked about all kinds of crazy stuff this week. So, all right. Well, you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you again next weekend.
Yep. Have
Bye,
a good
y'all.
one. Bye, y'all.